It is Thursday, March 27th, and we are recorded today on WagerTalk TV, special edition of PuckTime. We got booted again for last call, but when Kelly tells us to do something, we listen. If she says jump, I'll say how high, because we have to listen to the higher ups. And you know what? Last call is a great show. When it's March Madness time, we've got all kinds of great stuff broken down. Also, baseball all day long. It's opening day. And, you know, I think Carmine and myself are excited, but I think that excitement level is probably about 10 times for Mr. Bryan Leonard. So you always laugh, Brian, or at least I always laugh, because the excitement for opening day, and then there's 161 more games after that. Everyone, like, I'm a diehard hockey fan, as you know, and there's 82 games, and I find it a long season. I don't see how you could be excited for that long, but we're going to break down 3 games as usual, and then we're going to look at some best bets as well. I'll try and look at some props within the games, but I'm not going to have my standalone props segment. But we got some good games to break down. Carm did a great job of picking some out for us. And guys, yesterday the likes were great on the video, but please keep doing us that favor. It really does help us out a lot. If you're watching on the shorts section or the regular YouTube section, hit that like button for us. It really does a lot of favors for us. Carm, I'll bring you in, then we'll go to Brian. What's going on, man? How are you?
Everything's good, man. Yeah, opening day in MLB. By the way, the Blue Jays were the Grapefruit League champions. Did they get a banner for that, Andrew? I'm not even sure. I don't even know why they keep score. As long as everyone's having fun, that's all that matters. But yeah, listen, we got a huge card today. There's so much going on in sports, but let's not forget it's a huge day in the NHL with playoff spots on the line. We're going to look at Ottawa and Detroit at Little Caesars, with Detroit a small dog at home. We're going to talk about the Alberta double with Dallas, who got the win against Edmonton last night, looking for the double against Calgary tonight. And then we're going to finish it off with 2 very hot teams in the Western Conference, the LA Kings and the Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche, 10 straight wins on home ice. Who on this panel is going to get in front of that falling knife today? We'll find out shortly. But Bry, Ottawa minus 130 in Detroit plus 110. When I saw these odds, I thought the bookmakers got to have this one wrong. The line should be flipped the other way around. I get it. It's going to be all mark in goal tonight. Looks like after who was it? I think Forsberg started their last game in Buffalo, with them losing a game that they cannot afford to lose points, because they're going to get dragged into that wild card race as well too. But how are you breaking this one down?
Yeah, I thought basically the same thing, not to the extent of Detroit should be favored, but to the extent that Ottawa's pretty sizable road favorite here. If you take a look at the expected goal share in 5-on-5 for the last month, it's a sizable advantage here for Detroit. They're at 53.42%, whereas Ottawa's at 47.1 and 0.11, excuse me. And that's despite the fact that the Red Wings are 2-10-0, and the Senators are 8-4-1. So, as they say, something doesn't add up here, and I'm looking to take advantage of that. Despite currently being in 12th place in the Eastern Conference standings, you know, Detroit's only 3 points out of the playoff spot, the last playoff spot right now, and this is their 3rd game in 4 days for the host in Detroit here, and we're returning home from a 1-3 road trip. These clubs have split the first 2 meetings, with both victories coming by a single goal. Detroit's playing much better than the record would suggest, and this is a must-win game for the Red Wings' playoff chances. To get them here as a home underdog, despite the scheduling disadvantage, I still think it's a bargain. Ottawa's a team that has been very fortunate lately. Detroit's had nothing but bad luck. But as I say, go over the last 30 days, they were outplaying the opposition. They're tilting that ice. And I like Detroit here. I think they're a good bargain price.
You're right, though.
I tend to agree.
Go ahead,
Yeah, Andrew, I was going to say, I tend to agree with them. You know what I mean? Like, the one thing probably holding me off aside in this game, and that side being Detroit, is the fact that, as Brian mentioned, Andrew, 3rd game in 4 nights, but it's not 3rd game in 4 nights all on the East Coast, which is a little easier for them. It's third game in 4 nights, and they're traveling back from Colorado. A couple big games out for them on that road trip. Playing in Vegas, playing in Washington, obviously playing in Utah, and playing in Colorado. That was a tough road trip, as every team there is either in a playoff spot or vying for one, which Utah is at the moment. But I'm leaning under here. It's been a homer series thus far. The first 3 of the 4-game season series have stayed under the total, and the holding teams won each and every one of them. Line looked good on this road trip. Not spectacular, but good in getting the win. If he starts tonight, I think he's the goalie that should start tonight of the 2 that they have there. So the slight lean to Detroit for me, Andrew, but I like the under more.
Well, Carmine, I hope Detroit wins because I'm on the over. So I hope you guys can win that. Look, I was listening to an interview with a player the other day, guys, and this player said, I find the third game in 4 nights situation more difficult to play in than second half of back-to-back. If players are somewhat well-rested and then they have a back-to-back, it's almost like a little bit better. You play that one game, you stretch, you get on the bike afterwards, you get a good sleep. A lot of times, like, let's say we look at it back-to-back, and it's like the New York Islanders and the New York Rangers, right? Let's say a team loses to the Rangers the first game out, and it's like 3-1. We know they're not traveling very far. The next night, they're just going to go to the same hotel they were going to, and they're going to be motivated to bounce back. But the 3 games in 4 nights can be really difficult. So I think that could lead to goals. And I'll tell you what, guys, I mean, this is just based off the eye test. I don't have specific data to back this up. But I have officially made up my mind on what the situation I think we're seeing with the totals in some of these games where teams need a point. Because at first, I was dead wrong. I was like, you know what? Teams that need a point, they're playing defensive, they're sitting back, and sure, they do sit back and play for overtime, which can be annoying sometimes. But if you look at a lot of these games for some of these wildcard teams, they've been 5.5s and going over that number. It's not like they're 6.5s and they're going over. So people talk about bet numbers, not teams. Well, the situation, I felt like it made sense what I was saying. Play defense, every point matters. Every play matters for these teams vying for the playoffs. But at the same time, when you give a 5.5 and, you throw in one empty net goal, you throw in one bad goal a goalie lets in, all of a sudden you only need a handful more goals here. So I like the over here. Bryan, I want to ask you something, though, because I look at a lot of the same numbers that you do for kind of just to kind of feel, how the things are going. Carmine looks at the XG and all that kind of stuff a lot as well. But the Detroit case is a bit different. And again, I still like the over here. But their play doesn't really match the XG right now. Or their not their play, the execution.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you go about that personally? Because I know that you do a lot of work by looking at these numbers to a certain degree. Like, I think we all hope Detroit scores tonight, whether the over hits or not. But to a certain degree, for you, like if their XG is 3.7 tonight, and then they run into Linus Ullmark again, standing on his head like he did last time they played. Like last time it was like 2-1, and the game should have been like 5-3. Do you start to discount this team? Because eventually, whatever the numbers say, who cares? They're just not scoring, right?
Well, I'm more of the feelings that there's hockey's got so much of a luck factor that you watch a game, guy's wide open, he's going to take the shot, the pass comes to him, it hits a bad piece of ice and jumps over his stick. I mean, normally that's going in, but it's just something that keeps it away from going in. And that's what the expected goals tells you what to do. It tells you what would have happened, should have happened. And I give that more of a credit. It's like, we're talking about baseball. I like to look at the advanced stats in baseball because of that, because you're just an inch away from, triple down the line as opposed to a foul ball. So you've got to look a little bit farther into the base numbers as opposed to the actual results. And I think that's what keeps me ahead in these sports. And baseball and hockey have been my two biggest sports for clients over the years. So it's something I take advantage of. And a lot of people, they'll look it up and they go, "Oh, this team has won 10 out of the last 11 games." Well, you got to break it down a little bit, and so yeah, they've been a little bit lucky doing so. Right. So if you're going to be betting on the hot teams, especially, you're going to get the worst line as it goes on. Everybody likes to play with streaks and the whole bit, but I like to go against streaks if I could find an advantage, and that's what I guess separates me from a lot of other people. So I put them both together and try to come up with something that's sensible to me is to the true value of the way they're playing.
Carm, before I go to you,
I was going to say, listen, he mentioned the puck luck, and if nothing else, you know what I mean? The last week, I've complained about it, the puck luck, because I just haven't had it. I watched last night's game, the Islanders and Vancouver, and I think it was at the end of the first period. It looked like the Islanders were pretty much all over them, but Vancouver had 4 shots on goal. And the first thing that came to my mind is Vancouver's going to win this game. This team has done nothing in the first period. They've only got like 4 shots on goal. This is something that is repeated all week long. Teams winning with 12, 13 shots on goal. It's a little unlucky. The Nashville one being a good example in Carolina and beating them 3-1 despite getting outshot something like 37-15. So it's frustrating, at least to that end. The one thing about Detroit, guys, I think we have to look at is these next 2 games are against Ottawa, and then they play the Boston Bruins, who they seem to be checked out at the moment, or at least looking like they want to be checked out at the moment. These are 2 games. I hate to use the phrase must win, but they have to win these 2 games. Their playoffs, or any chance they have of staying in the playoff race, is only there if they beat Ottawa and Boston, because after this they have St. Louis, Florida, and I think, and Carolina. So that's 3 very tough games before they play the Montreal Canadiens, another important game. So you need to pick up a couple wins with the one against Ottawa tonight, Andrew. Thoughts on that?
They do. It's crucial. It's crucial. And the funny thing is right now, Carm, as a Canadiens fan, whenever they're not playing, I'm cheering against the teams that are behind them. So yesterday I'm watching the Islanders game. And the funny thing is, on Tuesday night, when the Canadiens kind of got slapped around by the Blues, every other team lost as well. Like the Blue Jackets losing, this team losing, that team losing. So it's kind of like, you just need to make sure that when you lose, the other teams lose too. And when you win, the other teams, because the Red Wings have an opportunity here, right? Like you said, the Red Wings, and Bryan was talking about it, they have an opportunity based on the fact that some other teams have kind of hit a wall recently as well. We're talking about streaks, guys. I think it's a good, important, the 3 of us do a good job of mentioning all this stuff. So I wanted to mention it. Did have a loss yesterday. And Bryan, you talk about trying to be contrarian. Feel free to make fun of me all you guys want, because I put out a big play yesterday on the Bruins, and they're going in the bad direction. And you know what? Yesterday, if I showed you guys a highlight reel of some of the goals they allowed, like, you might laugh out loud. Like there was a goal that was like sliding along the ice from the corner that Korpisalo wasn't ready for. There was a player on the Bruins that hit the puck with his own glove accidentally into his own net. It was bad. But what I was going to say, just with this, number one, I think transparency is important. Overall, still having a great year on my 5% plays. But my other play that I won, that I hit, was my free play of the day, only a 2% play, was Devils over 3.5 team total. And so what's so funny about this game that we're in, guys, is that one bet looked like it was the best handicap ever. Over 3.5 goals. I needed just 2 periods to win it. Great, right? One bet was pretty much a disaster from the 10th minute of the game and forward. What sucks is that people will say, well, his 5% lost. That's the big play. He sucks, this and that. Yeah, sure. A part of our job is to hit the big plays. Don't get me wrong. But if I look at a big scale and say, man, I gave out some good plays on PuckTime, New Jersey hit their play in 2 periods. But the funny thing is, guys, is that because of these 5% plays and because of the big bets, how much we care about them, I'm walking around my house last night being like, you suck. Like, you are horrible. Even though I went 1-1 with clients. So it's such a funny game because some people will ask you, is a loss or is a win just a win? And same thing in sports, right? Do you care if the team that you cheer for or you play on wins 7-1 or they win 4-3? Regardless, it's a 1-1 day. And it goes to show, guys, even though if you're going to lose a game, you want to lose it with more respect. A loss is a loss. If they could have lost in a shootout and it still would have been a loss either way. So I needed to get my vent in, Carm. We all know transparency is very important. So I just wanted to bring that up. What do you have for us in the next game, Carmen? Any comments on that?
No comments on it. I know how brutal it can be sometimes with, it is what we do. I've had instances where, I have 4% plays, 5% play, the 4% plays win, the 5% play loses. You're up about 11 units on the day, but you have someone calling you, a jackass. It happens in this industry, and everyone's got a right to be upset. But at the end of the day, it is a marathon and not a sprint. So it's something that we need to remember. With that said, the Dallas Stars, Brian, -145, Calgary +125 at home. It looks like it's going to be Wolf and DeSmith, with Dallas having played last night. Second half of double-double, but for you guys who aren't aware, it's a very short trip from Edmonton to Calgary. It's like 173 miles if you're American. It's 279 kilometers if you're Canadian, and it's about a 1-hour flight. So it's not that bad as far as back-to-backs go. And Dallas is 7-2 this year on back-to-backs. So, Brian, how are you handling this one?
Yeah, you look at how these two teams have played 5-on-5 expected goal share. Neither one of them done very well over the last month. Dallas is a 44.43%, and the Flames are 46.55%. But both teams have managed to have winning records. The Stars 8-2-2, Flames 6-4-3. On the season, Dallas has a net 76 goal advantage in this matchup, but most of the Stars' damage this season has been done at home. They're only 19-14-2 on the road this season. Quality numbers, but you would expect a team as good as the Stars to be a little bit better on the road than what they have shown. Calgary's done pretty well in their own building here, 19-11-5 on the season. Dallas won both earlier meetings by 6-2 and 3-2 scores, and this is the second of a back-to-back situation for Dallas. After knocking off Edmonton on the road yesterday, the short-handed Oilers, they win that game 4-3. Calgary's run off 4 straight victories and end the month at Edmonton and Colorado. So this is a tough schedule for them coming up. So it's not a must-win game for Calgary in this situation, but it is the game that they can handle. They can get this victory at home here, and it will look pretty good in doing so going into the end of the month. They need to have this game, and the price looks pretty fair here. So I side with the Calgary. It's probably not going to make my card today, but Dallas is a team that has been playing a little bit worse than what the record would show. I'm looking to fade them here, and Calgary's not playing bad themselves. So let me take the plus points here, plus money payout with the Calgary Flames.
All right, I like it, Brian. Well, I like it because I like your info, but I think we're gonna go mano a mano on this one. Unfortunately, I think I might take the square approach. It's just because Dallas is playing so well, 6 points back of Winnipeg for the number 1 seed in the West. Something I didn't think anyone would come close to a couple of weeks ago, but Winnipeg went into a bit of a downswing. But they've got a game in hand. This is that game in hand. Could pull them to within 4 points. And, the fact that they're 7-2 on a back-to-back, but 7 of those games were with Casey DeSmith in goal, and he went 5-2 in the second half of a back-to-back as the starting goalie. So it's one in which, listen, I get the desperation, and this is a game that Wolf is going to have to steal for this Calgary team in goal. And he's been playing fantastic at home. he's going to have to steal this one because Dallas is going to bring it. Dallas is going to score some goals in this one, I have to believe, or at least get their chances at scoring goals. With that said, I just want the better team right now, and I think the better team is Dallas. 145, Andrew.
I'm going to go the total approach, and I know it's a back-to-back here, guys. So initial reaction for many people is to look towards the over. I'm going to look towards the under based on some of the numbers I'm looking at. As Bryan mentions, the 5-on-5 numbers. It is good to mention the special teams sometimes, but the 5-on-5 numbers from what I'm seeing, my sources have the Flames being the third worst team expected goals for in March, and the Stars being the fifth worst team expected goals for in March. So looking at the under here in this one, one thing I worry about though is like, man, oh man, sometimes both these teams can rely on their goalies a lot, guys. And the thing is about the Flames, they had that great road trip. They come back from the road trip. They're down 2-1 to the Kraken, and I knew about that game because I had the Kraken. They come back and they win that one. Nazem Kadri scores his second straight game-winning goal for the Flames. I'll tell you what, guys. I mean, I've been following the Eastern Conference race so closely because, of course, I'm a diehard fan of the Habs. But, man, the Western Conference, not bad, too. St. Louis, Calgary, Vancouver, those teams competing for that final spot. So that's been pretty good to look at. But I think overall the under is the play that I'm going to get down on here in this one. And I just think that when we look at these back-to-backs, typically we think, it's probably going to be a spot where you look towards one of the teams to be that fatigue, to be that gas team. But as Carmine mentioned, Dallas has been pretty good in the second half of back-to-backs. And if you are concerned about the empty netter in this game, Calgary team total under 2.5 listed -105. Dallas team total under 2.5 listed at +150. So if you think that you like the under and you like one of the sides as well, you can take a dip on that team total. I'll tell you what, guys, a lot of these 5.5s that go under, they end up seeing one team put up a handful of goals and the other team finishes at 2. That's how the game goes under. So if you want to take that and avoid the empty netter, you can take a look at the team total under for one of those teams. So looking forward to it, guys. And, I think it's one of those situations when you look at the Flames. Actually, I'm just curious, what's the draw line in this one here, guys? Okay, it's mostly the same as what it's been, +310. Because this game would not shock me to see this one be a draw either. Because when we look at some of the numbers here, guys, for the playoffs, if anybody was counting at home, it took me about, 25 minutes to bring up the make the playoff odds. But I have to look at it because this Flames team, this could be an absolute crucial. If you look at moneypuck.com right now and talk about a regulation win, what that could do for this team, it elevates their chances in a big way to make the playoffs over St. Louis. They need this one. And so I'd be curious to see kind of if they end up playing their sit back approach or they bring the offense. But overall, I don't think they want to go goal for goal with Dallas. That's the thing. So, Carm, you've had a really good read on these back-to-backs, though. And this time you're going against it. So you're going against the back-to-back run there. Wait. Yeah, you're on. So when is it a good spot to look at it then?
Well, this one, it's just because I think if we were talking about like a mid team, someone in like that 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, or 11th spot, I'd want to look to play against them. But a team like Dallas, they can roll out 3 lines, they can roll out 4 lines. That if one line is off, they still play well. Yesterday it was Jason Robertson, big game, gets the Hattie yesterday for Dallas, and it looks like a quick turnaround, but I'm pretty sure what these guys have done. After last night's game, they probably stayed in Edmonton, and then this morning it's the quick 1-hour charter, 1 hour less from Edmonton to Calgary, an optional morning skate, and then they get ready for tonight. I think they have too much at stake as well too. This is why it makes this game so tough, because it's a big one for Calgary. It is a big one for Dallas as well, too, because Dallas is trying to stay in the mix, possibly the number 1 seed, but at least finish in front of the Colorado Avalanche, who have, I think, a much more favorable schedule to close out than Dallas does. So every win for Dallas is equally as important, because I think home ice, should these two have to meet in the first round, home ice is going to be absolutely huge in that series. So those are my thoughts. Anything to add, Bri, before we
Nope.
hit up this third game?
Let's go on.
All right. The Avs. Speaking of the Avs, minus 150, boys. Minus 150 with Blackwood expected to go. It looks like it's going to be former Avs goalie Comfer in goal, who obviously won a cup with them. For the Kings, we're plus 130. Totals at 5.5, Bri. We talked about streaks and whether you want to get in front of them or ride them. 10 straight wins for Colorado at home. That's a streak. How you going? What are you doing?
Well, you mentioned these teams, how well they're playing. LA is 9-4-2 over the last month, and Colorado 11-1-1. You take a look at the expected goal share, it makes sense. You take a look at it, and you see the Kings at 55.78%, Avalanche at 54.42%. Both teams deserve to be playing with the house money here and having good records, because they have been playing very well. But I think the Avalanche had a little bit of luck on their side, as I mentioned. Usually a 54.42 doesn't give you an 11-1-1 record. So they're somewhat a little bit overrated here when you take a look at it. These two teams, you mentioned it in one of your closing comments about the way the games are played and home ice. This is a huge game when you take a look at these two games tonight, or these two teams playing tonight. They're battling it out for fourth place spot in the Western Conference. That's the last home spot, and it's a very, very possible playoff preview here with the host having home ice is critical here. These two teams are combined 50, 13, and 6 when playing in front of their home fans. So it's imperative for these teams to have home ice advantage if they do match up in the first round of the playoffs. The Kings have run off 4 straight victories, and 8 of their last 12 games have been played at home, so they're pretty well rested in that situation. The 3 previous road games, they produced a 2-1 record. They only lost coming in Minnesota. Colorado has also won a nice streak here at 3 straight overall. Kings are the best team they have faced lately, though. They played a lot of weaker competition. They remain home to take on the Surging Blues and the Flames to end the month. So it's a situation for Colorado. They can really solidify their playoffs positioning if they can finish this month out strong. The Avalanche won the only previous meeting between the two, which is kind of strange, being this far into the season and only playing each other once. Because of the importance of this game, we could see a playoff atmosphere. I think this is going to be if you're going to watch one game on tonight's card, this is the one to watch. 2 very good teams going at it. I expect this game to be low scoring because of that, with the playoff atmosphere and how much this game means. If the Kings fall behind Colorado, and as you mentioned, with 10 straight wins at home, this could be a devastating loss, because they may not be able to make that back up before the end of the season. Then all of a sudden they're in a first round matchup going to Colorado, and Colorado's red hot at home. This is a huge game for both teams, especially for the Kings. I like the under here.
You know, it definitely seems like that. And you look at the star power on both these teams, you kind of look at it and you kind of think to yourself, man, there's a lot of opportunity for goals. But like you mentioned, that playoff intensity, that playoff environment, Brian, you like the under, but it kind of, I feel like, you know, when I've been listening to all these podcasts and radio shows talking about the Sweet 16 March Madness, some people talk about under and underdog correlating. Some people I've heard actually are starting to change their mind on that and saying that over and underdog, because they think that if the underdog is doing their part, the favorite will do their part as well. If you like the under, do you have a lean on the side here? Because I would argue in this game in particular, it's a very, very clear distinct. I mean, if you told me some team won this game 5-3 or 5-4, I would tell you I'm betting that minus 200 Colorado won that game. Right? If you told me, yeah, you know what? There's a team, I can't tell you who it was, Andrew, but this team squeaked it out last night with a 3-2 victory, I would tell you, oh, that was the Kings. They found a way to win. Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, the Kings need to win by defense here. Colorado's got the better offense, but that's the way the Kings play most of their games. If it's a low-scoring game, give me the teams that play very good defense. Those are the games they're going to win. The high-scoring game, when Edmonton's healthy and Edmonton wins, you think they're going to score 5 goals. That's just the way they play. But there's a lot of teams who just don't have that ability, and they've got to win with defense. So if the Kings can keep Colorado down to 2 goals here or less, I think the Kings win. But that's the problem, is how many people keep Colorado down on their home ice, only allowing 2 goals. So I just think, it's baseball season and the tournament's going on today. But if there's one hockey game, I think this is a very telling game. This is something where you can learn in a regular season game and use that in the playoffs, especially if these two end up playing in the first round. So if you don't get a chance to watch it live, go back and watch it on tape and see how these teams prepared for this game and how it ended up working out. So I think it's a learning experience in this game.
I get called out sometimes for this, guys, but I'm going to say it. 4 of the last 6 games that they've won for the LA Kings, 4 of the last 6 games that they've played have been all against teams that aren't making the playoffs, non-playoff opponents. I'm not trying to discredit the Kings here, but I do think that, this is one of those games where it's like a huge step up in class. Like, this is no Rangers. This is no Chicago Blackhawks, no Nashville Predators. This is a step up. Now, I'm seeing minus 155 here at some spots here. The opener being minus 145, 150s and 155s are out there. Slight movement towards the Avalanche. And you guys know I always check the team totals. Team total with this number is typically around 115, 120. I'm seeing 125 plus 125 on Colorado. Brian says playoff atmosphere, team total under 2.5 for the Kings, minus 110 here in this one. I do expect a good effort out of Blackwood. That's kind of the way I'm looking in this one here, is the team total under, but the under 2.5 goals for the LA Kings. I think that people look at Colorado and they don't respect their defense as much just because of how strong they are offensively. And I think, it makes sense a little bit because you look at some of the games they played, again, like that game against the Canadiens where they gave up 4 goals late in the game. But at the end of the day, Avalanche beat the Flames. They allow 2 goals. They beat the Maple Leafs, or they lose to the Maple Leafs. They only give up 2 goals. They beat the Senators, give up 1 goal. Beat the Red Wings, only give up 2 goals. So, Carm, I think that this team defensively is being slept on a bit. Everyone knows how good they are offensively. So I think I'm on the same page as Brian, but I still like the Avalanche to get the job done, whether it's taking them to win the game, regulation, or just team total under for the Kings.
I'm going to go a little further and then throw in a hot take here. If you like, I think the LA Kings, I think you should probably take the first period. I can see a road in which they don't win the first period and do win the game. But if you're looking at like season-long numbers on teams in the opening 20 minutes, you have the LA Kings that are top 10 as far as records in the opening 20 minutes. 12 wins, 9 times they've trailed, 16 times they've been tied. You're up a couple units on the season if you're just flat betting the Kings in the first period. The numbers for Colorado are those surprising ones. Colorado, the worst team in the NHL at home in the opening 20 minutes. 9 times they've had the lead, 16 times they've trailed, 11 times they've been tied after 20 minutes. Minus 16.7 units on the season if you've been taking Colorado, and a lot of that has to do with you're normally paying a big price on them. So I'm going to take the dog in the first period, take the LA Kings plus 115. If they can get through the opening 20 minutes, they've got a shot to win the game. As Brian mentioned, how this is a big game. It's a big game for both. My hot take is going to be this: we're going to watch a game tonight with an LA Kings team that I say gets finally over the hump. And if they have to play the Edmonton Oilers in the first round of the playoffs, I think they'll beat them. That's how good I think they've looked for the second half of the season. And then the Colorado Avalanche are your Stanley Cup winners. Look at that. That's a hot take, boys. I'm already naming the Colorado Avalanche as your Stanley Cup winners. Now, I know there's going to be people like, oh, you're really going out on a limb there, Carm, with the Avalanche. They are plus, or they are 10-1 at some books, down to like 9-1, 8-1 at some places. So they are not the Stanley Cup favorites by any stretch of the imagination. I'll take the 10-1 on the Avs to win the Cup this year. That's my hot take, Andrew.
Let's go. My clients got that hot take future bet before the trade deadline. So I'm on that with you. We are cheering on the Avalanche, and everybody says it's my East Coast bias because of McKinnon. So hopefully the bias turns into a winner and he gets the job done for us. But, it's true. A lot of the guys say from WagerTalk, everyone says if you look at, for me, the two teams with value right now still remaining are Tampa and Colorado. Because I'll tell you what, right now, if Toronto plays Tampa in the first round, I'm taking Tampa. If they don't win the division and play a wild card team, they're not winning. So I think that right now, the two teams with value. But if you like Florida or you like Dallas at this point, I say you just bet them to win every round and just carry your money over. You're not getting enough value. I mean, I can't see anybody going to the window right now and betting on a team like Florida to win the Cup. It just doesn't make any sense. The books would love for you guys to do that. Really, they would invite you to do it. You're getting the worst number you possibly can. It's just, I don't think it's a winning proposition. Unless they're going to be just minus 300 every series, say, Brian, then you might as well just roll over your money, especially with hockey. We see upsets in hockey, and teams get fatigued. We saw it with Tampa Bay after winning for a couple years in a row. They do get fatigued and banged up. So, all right, guys. Brian, unless you have any flaming hot takes, you do have a best bet for us, and I believe it's in a game that we already spoke about.
Yes, I did. And I do want to point out, first of all, before we were getting started here, you were talking about baseball and all the Americans excited about opening day. I'm originally from Cleveland, and our stadium when I was growing up was an 80,000 seat stadium. My dad would take me to the games. It would be like April 1st or whatever it was at the time. It would be snowing. They'd sell out 80,000 seats for a game that would take like 6 hours because it was snowing, would come down. They'd have to take a break. The very next day, you go back to the game, and there's 124 people in the stadium. So that's the way it is for opening day in a lot of these teams, especially Cleveland. But we're going to go with that Detroit play that I gave out earlier today. I do want to, if you want to get the information on it, just go back and watch that again. But it is baseball season, and it starts today. I've got 3 baseball plays up for clients today. I also have a big 5% play in the NCAA tournament, 7-0 in the NCAA tournament this year. Love this game today. Our first 5% of the tournament there goes tonight. And our best bet in hockey is this Detroit team, and that's the same one I'm giving my clients. So that's the only game I have on today's card. You got it today for free, just for taking time out and watching a little bit of hockey information instead of college basketball.
Great stuff. 7-0, man. Wow. Great run there. Great run.
Absolutely great run. And as seen as Brian gave away his hockey play for free, that frees up more money to purchase my the NHL 2-pack for tonight.
That wasn't the whole reason behind that, Carmine.
Because you got Brian's for free. But all kidding aside, a couple plays up in the NHL 4% best bet selections. I love today's card, so there might be some client plays on there. I hope I don't love it too much that it comes back to backfire on me. But as far as the show best bets, I'm going to go back to the Dallas Stars one. I get it, second of a back-to-back, but this team's playing extremely well. They looked very good yesterday in Edmonton. Even taking into consideration McDavid and Draisaitl were out of that lineup. 5-2 in the second of back-to-backs with Casey DeSmith starting, 7-2 overall in the second of a back-to-back. Short trip, as I mentioned, between Edmonton and Calgary. I think they complete the double. So I'm going to take Dallas minus 145. as the show free play. And then because we got bumped, which I'm fine with, by college basketball, I'm going to give you a bonus best bet. Tomorrow, Michigan, Auburn, over 153. I'm not going to say back up the Brinks truck, Andrew, because that's what guys on Twitter or the X talk about. I'm just going to make it a play. I've already bet it, and I think that total probably gets to 154, 154 and a half, 155. It could get even higher. So grab the best number early. There you go, Andrew. I'll send it back to you.
Man, you guys got me fired up here. What a run we have the next few days in sports. Opening day, we got a huge slate NHL. Brian's on a 7-0 run. Carm's giving out college plays. He's got a 2-pack of 4% plays. If you can't find something you want to watch or bet on the next 3 days, you might need to take up knitting or go for a walk or do something else, because sports betting right now it's at a peak. It's just so NBA, NCAA, NHL. I mean, I'm excited, guys. I'm excited. Masters around the corner. So I got at least 2 plays in the NHL going. Looking forward to that. 1 MLB play so far. Everything else I'll tweet out. Doing a lot more free content, guys. So make sure you follow me on Twitter at McGinnis Picks. But I'm going to go with, I know this is hard to believe, guys. My best bet's going to be the Canadians. I'm doing it today. I don't do it very often. And I'm kind of scared because Philadelphia fired their coach. And every time I think of Dave Koken, that would look at me and say, okay, I know which team I'm backing now. So it scares the crap out of me, guys. But I like the overnight flip. You know, some people talk about trusting the opening number. But a lot of times when you see these flips, you got to follow the flip. And right now, looking at Philadelphia, opening number, minus 115 on Philadelphia. Current price I'm seeing now in this one at circa minus 120, 125 at South Point on Le Habitant. Red, blue, and white. I am not a homer, Carmine. So we're taking the Habs for the best bet. So let's cash some tickets, guys. Thanks for watching. And please do us a favor, guys. Hit the like button on the way out. It helps us a hell of a lot more than you'll ever know. Enjoy the day, guys. Best of luck. We'll see you tomorrow here on Puck Time.